While the Faculty of Arts of the Truth has lots of concrete, I think there are a number of things that were done to, will I say, soften the blow.
I in my own opinion, would say that the concrete is quite a lot.
You won't feel like it's about to squash you unnecessarily.
We spend years interacting with buildings. We live in them, we carry out our daily activities in them. But how often do we sit down and critique the buildings we use in? Today, we will be analyzing the Faculty of Arts building, a landmark right here in Unilag. We'll be looking beyond the aesthetics and then discuss how the building breathes, how it responds to the local climate, and what we can steal from the design. Wellington, looking at this floor plan with you, what is the first thing that stands out to you about the circulation?
I think the arts block really is something a little bit of genius personally, especially because to people who might not know, the arts block within the University of Lagos is pretty much two independent buildings. One is 5 floors and it's for the students' classroom. One is 7 floors for the staff. And by some stroke of genius, I guess, you're able to connect these two buildings, have them at pretty much the same height, using the same circulation system. I think personally that's brilliant. You have a stairway that connects these two blocks, regardless, or despite the fact that they are different, a different number of stories. And to ensure that the experience is really rich for the people using it. The courtyard, there's an open courtyard in between these two blocks, just ensuring that movement is not too cramped or choked. There's a view, the corridors are really open. And walking through the corridors does not distract the students or the staff members who are using the office spaces. I think whoever designed the circulation of the space was being very intentional. Personally,
I do agree with you on that. The way the circulation was resolved is really brilliant because, the way they treated the fenestration so much so that someone walking along the corridor does not distract those using the space. Think it's let's talk about the climate. Looking at the facade and this massive courtyards, how successfully does the building handle the local sun and natural ventilation?
For me, I would say that, like I rightly said, the Faculty of Arts building is a monumental one that has a lot of concepts that we can pick from in recent architecture. And I'll be coming from the ventilation aspect. Because if we look at it, we have the windows on the exterior. We have the windows that lead from the classes and the offices into the courtyard. And also we now have a linear courtyard from end to end, whereby hair can move in and through the space. So it's like a stack effect thing on the part of the enclosed spaces, which are the classrooms and the offices. Then through the ventilation, the air comes in into the building from the outside into the courtyard, then the courtyard, the ventilation through the courtyard takes it out. So it continues like that in a loop. So I would really say that the ventilation aspect of that building alongside the lighting is very magnificent. And how they were able to work on the lighting was that they have overhangs. So while you are at the corridor, you are not experiencing direct sunlight, but you can get daylighting into the spaces that is being used. So really, I would say that building is a case study that we use. It's a good case study to look at and to borrow concepts from.
I do agree with you, especially given the way things are in Nigeria here. How electricity is not reliable. So doing that, the way the fenestration was treated, ensuring that air keeps flowing in that loop and all that was really thoughtful. We talk a lot about human-centric design. When you actually walk through the Faculty of Arts, does the heavy concrete make it feel imposing, or does the open spaces balance that out for students? So I would love to hear your thoughts on this.
Well, I definitely would use the word imposing. While the Faculty of Arts or with truth has lots of concrete, I think there are a number of things that were done to, will I say, soften the blow of the fact that it's a will I say castle of concrete. I think the first thing I would even mention is the fact that it's not grey.
Yeah.
It's not grey, and it's a whole different world moving through a space that is just grey, as opposed to what the arts block, which is red and cream, the typical University of Lagos colors. I think those really help to soften the blow of the concrete in the entire space. In general, I would say that when you're moving to this through the space, while of a truth, the concrete is powerful within the space, especially if you're working on the staff block that's 7 floors, headroom isn't as high. And so you're someone who doesn't enjoy tight spaces, you might find yourself feeling a bit queasy. But I think in general, for the average person, it's not something that I would say is necessarily overly imposing on the people that are using it. You won't feel like it's about to squash you necessarily, but it's a bit of a tight squeeze. What do you think?
In my own opinion, would say that the concrete is quite a lot, and like you see, yeah, it's speaking the language of uh, high serious brutalism, right? However, I feel that there is a way we should be able to bring in the exterior to the interior, right? And that's what I think one of the things that tropical modernism treats. So because it's like I'm in that building, but I really don't know what's going on outside.
Yeah.
And it makes it feel like there is just so much that's keeping me in that space. I really will not, as much as the experience of the space makes I know you would have an experience in that space for you that understand and can appreciate beauty. I can appreciate creativity, and spatial design, like you said. You would really experience nice. We will have a wonderful experience in this space. However, I would say that there's a lot of concrete in this space, and it feels quite imposing. I would say. I appreciate the designers; they have done a very good job. The experience of building is top notch. You will always get something to learn from that building. But then, in my opinion, looking at the concrete, it's a lot of concrete.
Well, I guess that's hard to argue with because truthfully, it is a lot of concrete. But if you consider the context, right, it's a classroom. I don't think we want to be seeing everything going outside when you're inside. So I guess that there was some understanding of context, and that understanding of context produced some of the limitations that we see in the building. I think that's where understanding the human that is going to use the space comes in. If you do give them lots of open space, you risk them not focusing on what they're meant to focus on within the space. Maybe there could be a balance. I don't know.
I think they try to do that with courtyard as well.
Okay, that's true.
Only that courtyard is just for it really works on ventilation, I would say. Because
I guess in times past though, it looks as though the courtyard was intended for more.
I mean fronting and everything.
Yeah, that is
there are
true.
some things sit out here. Maybe those ones came after, but it kind of ties into the next question I would ask you. We see nothing is perfect, especially decade after it's built. Looking at how thousands of students have used this space today versus how it was originally designed, what is the biggest friction point or failure in this building? Because looking at other buildings, some buildings around, how they are open, welcoming, not just for students of that faculty. The faculty of art seems to shut people off. Only if you are a student of the faculty, you go there and then use the courtyard space. And what would you see as the friction point in the design of the building?
I would want to take it in from the courtyard. Okay. So it's because if we are looking at other classrooms, or faculties around, I think they have much more dominant courtyard systems in comparison to the Faculty of Arts. Because for the Faculty of Arts, due to my own personal experience, when I go there, I just lean over the railings and I just lean over and say, okay, what's going on there, right? And that's just aside from the ventilation aspect, and that's just it. Because it feels too small to have something going there. And I feel that the classrooms and the corridors, they are too close to the courtyard. And we know how Nigerians behave anyway. You can just throw something upstairs or just sputum, whatever, over people that are downstairs. So that in itself gives you a kind of restriction on using the space. However, the space is a beautiful view. I just feel the courtyard in a space like that, in a learning environment, should be accessible. You understand? Where we can have group discussions in the courtyard. We can just.
This is an issue of space. Probably they don't have enough space allocated to the faculty, and probably that influences the way.
I really won't say it's an issue of space. I would just say maybe while it was initially designed, it wasn't designed for so much traffic. Maybe that speaks into the use of the space and design of the space. Just maybe, I don't know. I was not there. But if they needed more space, they probably would have gotten more space from the car park.
Actually. So what would you say?
I think when I think about the art block and what I might call a failure is probably not the word I actually use. But I think about it, and the word that comes to my mind is how, let me say the thought that comes to my mind is how architects must think in a timeless manner. I feel like if we do not design buildings expecting them to treat and serve human beings across various, will I say, ages, then many times there will come a point it looks like they're failing. So for instance, talking about the art block and how I'm certain that maybe at the time of design, the structure and everything was perfect. But right now, to a user in today's world, it seems a little bit uninviting. And I don't want to go in. Because generally human beings, in many cases, and that's one of the reasons the courtyard system thrives so much, especially within community or familial environment, because it's really open. Most human beings like open design. When I go through the arts block, I just think to myself, I feel like this was not designed with human beings as the primary user, if I may say so. I feel like it was designed with thoughts more around function than around the people, right? Because when you're designing for people, there is a manner, a way in which you design space, as opposed to when you make function the god of your design process. Both are necessary anyway. And I won't say the arts block is a failure. Because now when I go in, I just think, I feel like this could have been made better for the people, not just the function that would happen within the space. And another would have been better if we were thinking in that direction.
Another thing I would like to add is in context of Nigeria and how electricity is an issue. Because looking at accessibility, because these days, I think, not even these days, right from time, accessibility has been a concept that should be considered for every building.
True.
So looking at accessibility, the entrance is nice. Everybody can reach the ground floor, disabled and all of that. However, there's a provision of elevator, but when there's no light, and recently there's been a lot of shedding of lights between hostels and classrooms and all of that here and there. And let's just say there's a total light failure. Of course, you know that even in Nigeria, there's a lot of national grid collapse and all of that. So how does someone that has a wheelchair get to his classroom on the higher floor
when there's no power?
So I think those things like we said, it's not a failure though. However, I think those things are things that we should consider if we'll be having that kind of thing in a new design.
I agree with you.
That's a big question that needs to be answered. I mean, you've done the various minimum, providing this, providing that, but then external factors, I mean, power, not available for you to be able to use those. Anyway, final thoughts now. Looking at the design of the building, what would you say we can steal from the design of the Faculty of Art?
Personally, I'm a very functional person. I'm a very, very, very functional person. So I personally would say that one thing that speaks to me, one thing out of so many, that one of the things I would say that speaks to me is that concept of ventilation and lighting. It's and the way it is being worked with stack effects to the continuous loop of airflow and all of that. I feel that it's a concept we can imbibe in this current time And I feel that it will also be timeless. Because as much as artificial things are moving right now, they are the trend. We hear AI this, AI that, a lot of artificial AC, HVAC, and all of that. Now, I think there is even a mixture of air conditioner and fresh air these days. So yeah, all things are moving around. But then I feel we can't still beat the use of natural ventilation and natural lighting. Because in times when things are so bad, imagine we have a world blackout, which I don't think will happen. How would you survive in a space where there is no natural ventilation and no natural lighting? I think the initial concept of architecture from the ages should still be imbibed, which I think was really applied in the design of the Faculty of Arts building.
I guess I can strongly lean on what Tofunmi just mentioned, and how designing for the context makes a big part of having a good design. So I understand that the facade, for instance, just got revamped not too long ago. And every time I pass by the art block, aside the fact that it's aesthetically appealing, by virtue of the fact that there's repetition, it's a kind of rounded box, and then you just repeat. It's just something that's striking and catches the eye. But beyond the beauty of it, you see how that was intended to reduce the thermal load on the building. Something that is very needed in hot Nigeria. I feel like these are the kind of things that ensure that the design is functional and beautiful at the same time. We have overhangs over every one of the windows that's facing the sun directly. I think that's amazing. Those are the kind of things I'm always looking forward to seeing when I'm seeing a building designed in Lagos, Nigeria for Nigerians. I think technology is great, but we should design for Nigerians in Nigeria. Shows that technology is an aid and an accessory to ensure that what we've already done would never actually fail under, unfortunate circumstances. I think that's something that really stands out.
All right, thank you so much, Wellington. Thank you so much, Tofunmi. I think we can all agree that the Faculty of Arts building is more than just concrete.
Definitely.
It is a masterpiece, basically. And then while we should not copy the building verbatim, we just need to extract the principles applied in the design of this building in future designs or new designs we want to do. Thank you so much for your time. See you in the next episode.